Good morning, Igniting Hope family.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon, good evening. My name's Annalisa Gilbert, and this is my husband, Jarrod Gilbert.
Hey guys.
I had him on a Facebook Live back on Valentine's Day earlier this year, so I'm just bringing him back on again as we just dive in and talk about the goodness of God. That's just something that flows out of just our conversations and things that we share. But also, he's just so full of wisdom. He's so full of insight, and the way that he just carries the revelation of who God is, who God the Father is, and just the peace that he brings with his words. You don't want to miss this. And he's highly prophetic, highly intuitive as well, and he's such a friend of God. So if there's someone that you could get around and just listen and glean from, it's such a gift that he's able to join this morning.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Good morning, Shanna.
Hi, Shanna.
Yep, we are
Happy to have you on this morning.
very happy.
So, babe, what are we getting started with?
First, we're going to get started with some announcements. So for those who you're new to Igniting Hope Ministries and you want to get more connected into some of the online courses that we do, Ash Anderson, she just launched her Unhindered course yesterday. She's launching again. It's 5 weeks, and it is 5 weeks of just powerful breakthrough. And if you want more information for that, if you want to sign up, it's on our ignitinghopeacademy.com, and you can sign up there. And another exciting announcement is just to stay tuned and just be on the watch for announcements for Steve's writing a new book that he's going to release a course with called Fully Convinced, The Art of Decision Making. And it's all of Steve's wisdom and just his revelation of just how we as Christians can make great decisions, and that the pressure is off for us to make a wrong decision. Because as he says, a wrong decision made in faith has a better likelihood of success than a good decision made in doubt. And Steve just really goes in and unpacks just his revelation of just decision making as Christians, because he was very inspired by just how he's wrestled with decision making with God, and how he's coached other people through decision making, and he's found that very sincere Christians are more likely to be bad decision makers just because of the different belief systems and different things that are holding them back from fully stepping into their confidence and their boldness in making good decisions. But yeah. And I do have one more announcement that as of recent, there's been a redirection that I've just been sensing for some weeks now, a little over a month now. But I am actually transitioning out of Igniting Hope this summer. So this will be my final live as a staff member. But just because I'm leaving, just because I'm transitioning out, does not mean that I'm no longer part of the family. I'm not leaving anybody behind. It just means that there's just been a little redirection, and I'm going to be diving deep into just what I just felt like the Lord has put in my heart to start pursuing and stepping into, and just being obedient to that, even though it was not an easy yes at first, because it's an incredible place, incredible leadership. Steve's one of the healthiest bosses and leaders that I know, and everything that he teaches on the culture for empowerment, it's what he lives out. And it's been such a gift to be able to receive and just learn and grow. And but when the Lord asks you to step out, all you got to do is just surrender and say, okay, God, and then we just watch it unravel and just see how it plays out. But
that's a little bit what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. Is there anything that you're sensing this morning? Any prophetic encouragement?
Prophetic encouragement. This is just a season of going for it. That dream that the Lord has placed on your heart, that idea that He's given you, this is a season to step out and go for it, and to stop holding yourself back, and to see what you're capable of, because you are capable. He's made you capable. He wouldn't have given you a dream that you couldn't accomplish. That would be a cruel father, and that's not the father that we have. You may need other people to help you accomplish it, and that's a good thing. If your dream is small enough for you to accomplish on your own, it's not big enough. It's not what He has for you. He created us to be in family and in community, and so if you're able to accomplish your dream on your own, start dreaming bigger, because He's got something bigger for you.
That's great. Yeah, as you're releasing that, I just really believe that there's people watching this live today or sometime in the future, whenever they come across this, and there's actually going to be dreams that are going to be reawakened in their heart, and they're just going to have a new boldness and a confidence of, oh, actually I can do this thing that I've been dreaming about since I was 13, I can do it. This thing that I've just really been wanting to start, this business idea, all through my 20s been wanting to start, but now I'm in my 50s. Is it too late? No, it's not too late. Go start it, go do it. It's in your heart, and the Lord's equipped you. And I just love that too, because that really ties in with what we're going to be talking about this morning out of Matthew 25. I've shared out of it before, but it's just something that's just really been speaking to me this season. And for those that aren't familiar with what Matthew 25 is about, it's about it's Jesus speaking a parable about a master, and there's 3 servants, and He gives each servant a certain amount of talents. And this is more just a speed going through the parable, but the first servant, he takes the talents and he increases it by tenfold, and the second one he increases by fivefold, and then the third one, he took the talent and he buried it into the ground, and he did not increase at all. And what ended up happening was the master he took the talent from the one that did not increase and gave it to the one that increased the most. And basically it was just a representation of just how increase works in the kingdom and just stewardship. And sometimes when we hear Matthew 25, we hear about the third servant of what not to do. Oh, okay, don't bury your talent. Ultimately, if you look a little bit deeper into the passage, he buried his talent because he had a wrong view of who God was. The first 2, they were believing right about who their master was, but the third one, he said that, Master, you are a cruel and wicked man. So because of that, he had fear. So in fear, he buried his talent. But the other 2, the master said he entrusted every single one of them, those servants. So they took that trust and they ran with it.
Yeah, I think you started to touch on it, but I kind of want to go a little further with this. Every time that I've heard this passage spoken on, it's been hey, don't be that guy. Don't do this. Don't do this. Make sure you don't hide your talents and all that. Yeah, that's great advice to not be the guy with the one talent who buries it. It is, but it doesn't really get you far, because the point is to not just not bury it. The point is you get to be the guy with 5 talents. You get to be the guy who goes out and doubles his 5 talents, and not only gets the return on your work, but the return on others' work who bury their talents. You get to be that guy, and it's an open opportunity. It's not a slap on the wrist. Hey, don't do this. It's hey. He's actually inviting you into exploring how amazing you are, and how capable you are, and what you can do, and with the things that He's placed on your heart. So, yeah, it's it's a little bit different of a passage when you look at it through the eyes of hope instead of the eyes of discipline.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And like how you said, just how you touched on only looking when you've only looked at it through the eyes of, hey, don't do this. When we look at things in the kingdom through a lens of, hey, don't do this, we're always going to fall short of just the potential of what we could increase and what we could move forward in with the Lord, because our standard is, okay, we're just not going to do this thing. That's it. But if we expand our vision, if we expand what we are capable of with Christ, because we're co-heirs, we're co-creators with Christ, there's no limits, then the possibility is endless. And if you live from that place of possibility, then yeah, you're not going to do the thing that you're told not to do, but you're also going to accomplish so much more and carry so much more weight and bring so much more what's the word? You're going to be able to touch a lot more people with your story, with your life, when you're living from that higher place of possibility, instead of, okay, I'm just going to do the bare minimum. I'm just not going to get in trouble. And reality is, our God, he's a good father. He's not looking just to punish us. He's not looking just to nail us on the head. If we don't do the right thing, there's so much grace, and he's always going to lead us back into alignment with him and his word.
Yeah, and I just want to point something out. You know who else had the don't do this attitude and was looking at things through the eyes of discipline and the eyes of punishment? The guy who buried his talent. So why would we want to have the same mindset that he had to try and motivate us not to do what he did? Because it's going to cause us to do the same thing, because that's exactly the mindset of the Lord that he had. So that's why we want to look at things through the eyes of possibility and hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we live in this place of possibility, pretty much the Lord's looking for someone just to say yes to him. I'm just, as we're speaking this morning, I'm reminded of Reinhard Bonnke's story. And if you're not familiar with who Reinhard Bonnke is, he passed away a couple years ago now, I believe. But he was just this really fiery evangelist, just on fire for the Lord, and he just brought so many people into the kingdom of God just through the way that he lived his life and did these crusades. And he just lived in such this lifestyle of purity for the Lord. And I remember when he first got his commissioning, his call from the Lord, and he said yes to what it was, and the Lord told him, okay, great. I believe it was, the Lord asked, I think it was 17 different people to have that assignment, or some crazy amount of number like that. And Reinhard Bonnke was the first one to actually say yes to what it was.
Because Reinhard was asking the Lord, why me? Mm-hmm. Like, why did you choose me? Why am I the one that you picked? And the Lord's like, well, I asked, all these other people, you were just the first one to say yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's just how simple it can be.
Yeah. As simple as a yes. And yeah, Reinhardt went on to lead massive crusades in, I believe, Africa and other places as well. But just the impact that he had for the Lord echoes through generations and into eternity because of a yes. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as just saying, okay, Lord, you asked me to do this? Sure, I'll do it. And it might seem like a much smaller scale, but that's kind of what you're stepping into. It's not an easy decision to step out from a secure job and a place that you love to work with fantastic people, and Steve is an amazing boss. It's not easy to step out and pursue your own thing. It's a little scary. And yeah, for finances, for the friendships, for the connection, for a lot of reasons. But because of your yes, we're excited to see where it takes you.
Mm-hmm. And it was a hard yes, but at the same time, just looking back, especially if you're someone, whether you're someone that you've been following the Lord for years, or you're starting off, or maybe you never actually followed the Lord, but just looking back on the history of just the times when the Lord's asked me to step out and say yes when I didn't have a clear picture at all. One of the times was when he asked me to move out to California, to Redding, California for ministry school, and made it really clear of the timeline of it. I was like, no one else in my family has moved across the country before like this. And long story short, I thought I was just going for ministry school, but I also got a lot of life change, a lot of growth, a lot of healing. But then that's also where I met my husband through one of our shared hobbies. And 3 years later, the rest is history now. But that was a good motivation to get me out here. Like, okay, I'm going to say yes. And it's not even on my radar. But now I have an amazing husband.
Yeah. And I have an amazing life. Because you said yes. Yeah. Yeah, so I think just encouraging you guys, like, sit with the Lord, listen to what he has for you, especially if it's something that you don't see being done right now. If you see a need that's not being met, or a problem that you have a solution to, what was it? Jim Stovall said,
Mm-hmm.
if you say, somebody should really do something about that, that somebody's probably you. And he will give you the divine inspiration to do something about that. That's how the Lord works. He's the God of dreams, and the God of inspiration, and the God of ideas and wisdom and intelligence and knowledge, and all the things that it takes to solve issues and to meet needs. So just sit with him.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk to him. Ask him what he has for you. And you know how the Lord speaks to you. It might be your heart kind of leaps at something, or you hear something in your inner ear, your inner heart, or you just have a knowing, or maybe you see things. However he talks to you, he's going to show you what he has for you. He's going to tell you, and you're going to know. And then pursue it. Run after it. Chase after it. Find people that will help you to accomplish that. Excuse me. Find people that'll help you, help propel you forward, and we'll partner with you and run beside you. Even if it's just for a season, to launch you into the next thing where you find other people. That's how the Lord designed this, is to work on relationship, and to build those friendships, whether they're for a short season or for a lifetime. The whole point is, I believe, this is a little tangent.
Go for it.
I believe revival is supposed to happen in the context of family. I believe everything starts in family, and it's why it's a passion of mine to train men and train fathers to be present and in the home, and loving and caring and kind and strong and fierce and passionate, and to truly be men, to show them what it's like to be a man that has emotions and can cry, but can also go out and build a house with his bare hands. I believe that revival starts in family, and without the foundation of family, I believe it's shaky. That's why family is being so attacked today in our world. But all that to say is that's how he designed his relationship. Mm-hmm. He designed us to connect with other people, even if you're an introvert. He designed us to connect with other people. Thankfully, I'm a bit extroverted, so it's a little easier for me. But even introverts, find that one person that you can connect with, that you can dream with, that you can start building with. And it doesn't, it's actually better if it's somebody who doesn't see everything the same way you see it. Because growth happens with different ideas. I know the saying is, great minds think alike, but I like to say that the best minds think differently. Because if all the great minds think alike, then we're not going to move forward. We're not going to make any progress. We're not going to grow. We're not going to have new ideas. And it's important to think differently. So find people that have some different ideas from you. And you may not even agree with them all. That's okay. You don't have to go with everything that they say. But having a sounding board, having someone that can challenge you, because challenge creates growth. Having someone that can say, oh, well, did you think about it this way? And sometimes you'd be like, yeah, I did, but that's not it. Or sometimes you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. The amount of times she's come up with an idea and she's like, hey, did you think about that? I'm like, no, actually, that's a great idea. Let's do that instead.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. But growth happens in the context of relationship and challenge. And so, find those people that you can run with, that are running the same direction, and also have different ideas. And it's not that either of your ideas are right or wrong. It's just that they're different. And go for it. Go for that dream that he's placed on your heart. Go for the idea that he's put in your head. There is a world out there that needs what you have inside of you, that needs what the Lord has given you. And if all of those people before Reinhardt had said yes, imagine how many more incredible evangelists we could have had on this planet if they had all said yes. Instead of one, we would have had 17, 18, whatever the number was, because he put that ability inside of all of them. And don't be afraid of the greatness inside of you. Let it out. I like what Bill says. You can't, I don't remember exactly how he says it, but basically you can't shine bright enough to steal God's glory. He's always going to shine brighter than you. Don't be afraid of that. Be humble and be great.
Yeah. Just what you said about all of it. But sorry, what was I? Oh, just want to speak to my other fellow introverts that are watching. Maybe you've been wrestling a little bit of, okay, but yeah, all these people that we see in history, they're interacting with people, they're doing these things in front of all these people. That's not me. It doesn't, just because you're a bit more introverted, that's not a personality type. That just means that you just get recharged being alone a little bit more than being around people. And I used to use the phrase that, I'm just an introvert, so I'm not going to go be around people or do the things or whatever. And then the Lord challenged me. He just asked me one day, he's like, why do you keep using that as a safety net? Why do you keep hiding behind saying you're introverted? I've called you to be so much more than that. And I just want to break anything off those that are watching. Maybe you've just labeled yourself as an introvert and you stop there. and there's no condemnation either. That's something that you've done, but I just want to break that off of you and just give you permission, like, okay, yes, you can be an introvert and continue to increase and continue to do these amazing things and continue just to be exactly who you're made to be, because everything is already inside of you that you need. The abundance, the goodness of God, just every attribute of who Jesus is, he's inside of you because we have the Holy Spirit inside of us as believers. And for some people, increase, going after a dream, it looks like having a lot of wealth, having a lot of money to be able to pour into and invest into different businesses or different things. And maybe you're afraid of money because there's been so many teachings of, okay, don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. You gotta be very servant-hearted. You gotta live small. All the different things, which it's yes, and yes, don't be greedy, and yes, you can still be servant-hearted and have money to steward and give into the kingdom. The man with the 10 talents, I forgot. There's the talents. Don't quote me on this, but I came across it once when I was kind of looking more into it. It's kind of like the equivalent of $100,000 today. So if that servant was afraid of money, he wouldn't have been able to increase and rule over the 10 different cities that he was trusted over and had kingdom influence over. So if it's not having money, that's not the issue. If it's when you start loving money more above who God is, that's when it starts becoming an issue. But money itself is not an issue because we're meant to steward all that the Lord's given us.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little comment on the introvert. How you said you can be an introvert and still increase, and you can be an introvert and still build, and you can be an introvert and still do all those things. One of the things that we learned recently is that with the Lord, because he's supernatural, because he doesn't live by the boundaries of this world, is that you can have your cake and eat it too. It is a both and. You get chocolate and vanilla.
Not either or.
Not either or. You can have it all. You can. Because that's how the Lord works. So the saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too, I'm just going to throw that out.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't apply to how the Lord works. And that doesn't mean there's not going to be seasons where things are a little thin. Things, you got to work a little harder at it. That's okay. But you can have both and more.
Yeah, you can live by faith and be working at the same time. You can live by faith and be finding ways to increase wealth as well. You can live by faith, expecting the Lord just to come through and provide, while also learning more about who he is as a provider and just a good father as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because when it comes to creativity, if you haven't heard already, you are creative.
No way.
Yeah, you are.
I'm creative.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
You're creative.
I am creative.
We're creative.
We are. And so are you. Because you were made in the image of our Heavenly Father, and he kind of created everything, including you. So if you're made in his
that
image...
means you.
If you're created in his image, you are creative. And creative doesn't just mean that you know how to paint or take pictures or play music. And I know that may be difficult for some people to hear. I know it was kind of weird for me to hear at first.
It's weird for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going out and being greedy and taking people's money. You get to create finances by offering something that actually benefits other people, and they're the ones who are willing to pay for it. You get to create a better relationship with your spouse, with your family, with your friends, with your church, with your community. You get to create a better work environment by being a better version of yourself. and by loving and caring for the people around you. So creativity is not just a creativity in the arts. It's creativity in every area of life. And I think that's what the guy with the 5 talents, who ended up having 10 talents, really understood. Was he understood how to be creative. If you're struggling with finances, sometimes the answer is to go out and work a little more, and sometimes the answer is to be creative and say, oh, well, actually what if I did this instead? What if, hey, I've got this stuff that I don't need anymore, and somebody would want that. Let me sell that, and or let me just reach out and ask friends for help, and in the season that I'm in. I know I'm saying this because we just did this. We just went through this, and we created, without adding another hour of work to our week. In 2 weeks, we created $6,000.
A little less than 2 weeks.
Yeah. For something that we had on our hearts to do. It's possible, and it's not always about, oh, I need to work more. It's about looking for the ways that the Lord wants to bless you.
You can work and rest at the same time. The Lord worked when he was in the garden, creating things, everything, but then he still rested. And if you're in that season of, okay, working, creating, that doesn't mean that you leave out rest in the mix of it either.
Yeah. So I encourage you to be the creator that you already are. And I just want to remind you how creative our Father is, so that you can remember how creative you are. The simple fact that he created everything except for Adam and Eve with his voice. He spoke. He didn't even do anything. He spoke. I like to think he maybe sang it, but the Bible doesn't say that, so I'm not going to say that that's actually what happened. But he simply spoke, and I believe, can't find this in the Bible, I can't prove it, but I believe that his voice was so powerful and so creative that the reason the universe is still expanding today is because his voice is still carrying out to the edges of the universe, still creating more and more and more, because he is a God of infinite. His voice doesn't stop. His word never returns void. So I believe that his voice is still carrying out and still creating, and that's why the universe is expanding beyond what we will ever be able to see. And so I say all that to remind you who you're modeled after, and who's going to give you the ideas that you need to create that healthier friendship, and that healthier family, that healthier work environment, or to create a totally new relationship or environment. It doesn't just have to be making something better. It can be creating something totally new.
Yeah. I love that, just how you talked about just the Lord's voice and how powerful it is. And Isaiah 55, that's actually a really great chapter if you want to just dive into just what his voice is like, and just how it does not return void, and it accomplishes everything that he's spoken. Everything that he speaks, every single word that he speaks, it does not drop. It does not go to waste. It is continuing to fulfill the purpose for which he said. And yeah, it's time we can start wrapping things up. Yeah, but I'm sure we could keep going. Oh wait, no, we could. Oh wait, yeah, sorry, got the old time mixed up with the new. I forgot that these lives go 45 minutes, not 30 minutes. So we can still keep going. But just want to touch back on you mentioned about relationships and community and surrounding yourself with people that will encourage you and pretty much cheer you on. And I just want to speak to the group of people that maybe you're watching and you are doing these dreams, but there might be hesitation for you to bring people in close because you're afraid that if they know too much about this dream that you're going after, then somehow they're going to manipulate me or just something negative. There's like this foreboding thing of just even the thought of you bringing people close. And I just want to break that off of whoever that is, that community is actually a gift. And just any fear of manipulation that ends today. And you can trust yourself, you can trust other people, you can trust God for the people that he brings in close to you. And that doesn't mean that there won't be challenges at times. There's always opportunities for growth and different things, but he's blessed us with other people that have things inside of them that we don't have because they're all uniquely made in the image of God. What Jarrod carries, I don't carry, and vice versa. So I need him, and we need the body of Christ, because just like how Paul in the New Testament, he shares about how each member of the body is like an actual body part. Like the arm doesn't function without the wrist, or I mixed up the two, but yes. Either way, everything's so connected and we need each other. And if you're someone that you've been hurt by community might be the very same place that you're going to get that healing in, because you can go through all the counseling, you can go through all the sozos, you can go through all the declarations, and declarations are super powerful, counseling super powerful, inner healing ministry, that's super powerful, deliverance. But if we don't go back to that same place, I'm not saying going back to a place where there's actual abuse and trauma, but going back to a place where you can be healed by the same context of where you were hurt, in a place of safe community and love and trust, that might be the very same place where the Lord has that deeper final healing for you in those places of your heart.
Yeah, I mean, just on that note, speaking from our own personal experience, we both had been in some very hurtful relationships, romantic relationships, in the past. And we both went through a lot of inner healing out here, sozos and counseling and processing and letting the Lord into places to clean out and to heal and
replacing the lies with truth, all the things.
All of that was extremely necessary, but it was still, there was healing that only happened once we entered into our relationship, once we entered into this healthy relationship with two whole, emotionally intelligent people that were fighting for purity and wholeness and love, that we found a deeper level of healing, and it wasn't able to be found anywhere else until we were in this relationship. There were fears that have now been loved away, because we chose to step in, and we chose to choose ourselves and choose each other. And there was no amount of counseling that could have brought the healing at that depth. So it's once again, it's a both and. It's very important to go get counseling, get healing, get therapy if you need it. And then it's also important that once you've done that, to step back into community if that's where you've been hurt, and walk into a healthy community. Walk in knowing who you are, and find a place that's safe where you can have fears come up and have past hurts come up, and you can actually talk about them with the people, and those people will love you through them. Because that's where the real healing happens. I know that's kind of a very different direction from where we started, but just as you were talking about that, it really reminded me of how that's happened for us. Many times over. The Lord has just washed so many hurts away and so many fears away, as we've been in a healthy relationship. So don't be afraid to jump back in.
And you trust yourself, and just trust that wherever the Lord leads you into, again, things aren't perfect. We're imperfect people, but have a identity as new creations. Our spirit are new creations, but we still have the full range of emotions, of human emotions, and just the depth of it. But just trust that wherever the Lord's leading you into, inviting you into, it's a safe thing because He's with you. And I'm sure there's people watching where they've gone through circumstances where it's like, well, why did this happen in my life? Or, if God was really with me, then why did this happen? Or why did this not happen? And He's still there with you. I have a friend. She had a pretty rough childhood with her. I believe it was with her stepdad, and to the point where he was physically abusive as she was growing up. And she had this one memory where she could just not really get out of her mind, where he had this plastic, I think it was a bat, like a baseball bat, and that's what he used to beat her and her siblings. And she was going through a moment with the Lord, just okay, God, where actually were you in those moments? Because if you were really who you said you were, you would have been protecting me. This wouldn't have never have happened. And the Lord reminds her of a memory, the very last time that He beat her with that club. In the memory, she remembered that the club actually broke in half, and that's why he couldn't keep beating her with that club anymore. And in that memory, she hadn't seen the vision, the memory from this angle before, but she saw Jesus actually taking the bat and crushing it over his knee, and it just broke in half. And she never really knew why back then when she was a kid, and why it just broke randomly. And her dad didn't know why either, but that was Jesus protecting her, and he was and then she just went back through every single memory that she had of just pain and hurt in that situation, and Jesus just showed her exactly where He was and what He was doing and how He was actually protecting her. And she's still on fire for the Lord. She's doing little crusades across different college campuses across the whole U.S. this summer, and it's just a really powerful thing, and it's something that I've done. I've gone through my past with the Lord and just saw exactly where He was in every single memory where there's a lot of pain and hurt, and the memories where it's okay, God, where were you? And He showed me exactly where He was, and just the truth of what He was actually doing. And there's just so many other more stories like that. There's a story about a female that knew that she got raped, and she had no idea where the Lord was in that memory. And as soon as she went back with that memory and saw where Jesus was and allowed Jesus to show her exactly where He was, she hasn't been the same since, in the best way. She saw exactly how she was being protected in that time, even though it was such a very dark thing that she experienced. She saw exactly how the Lord was protecting her, and I just really believe that there's healing. There's a lot of invitations this morning that if you went through something super traumatic, or maybe something where it's other people have had it worse than me. It's not really that bad. That doesn't matter. It still happened to you. It still was painful, something that you experienced. And I really believe that the Lord is just going to invite you into those places where you can just get that healing with him. And when it's time, I really believe that he's going to invite those safe people into the process. Well, they're already be alongside you in the process, but be able to love you in those spaces where only that physical, tangible love can minister to.
So release that healing over you. Sit with the Lord at some point today, where you have those memories of the hurtful things, and let him show you where he was. And for some of you, that might mean actually admitting to yourself what happened. Sometimes we don't want to actually say what happened, but until we can admit it, it's difficult to let it go. But yeah, we bless you with that healing. We bless you with the Lord showing you where he was and coming into those places, and holding your heart and holding you, so that you can release them and step into everything that you're capable of, because you are so capable. He didn't make a single one of you that wasn't capable of greatness.
Can you say that again? That last phrase.
He didn't make a single one of you that wasn't capable of greatness. So.
Yeah. Yeah, just trying to figure out how to come up from here now. But yeah, you are more than capable. You have everything inside of you for what it takes. And also, just another thing for you to sit down with the Lord with, if you choose to. Just sit down and just imagine with the Lord of just what your life could look like and looks like when you're just fully living this place of, okay, what am I capable with? Okay, capable of. And what does it look like for me to fully just create and increase and steward with knowing that, okay, I'm fully trusted by God, and I trust myself to keep increasing, keep moving things forward. And I believe that there's going to be a lot of new dreams and ideas coming up from that place of just imagining. And as Wendy Backlund says, the imagination is the womb of faith. So if you can see it, it's possible. And one last thing from that we both heard from Jim Stovall was, if you think you can, you can. That's pretty much how he's lived his whole life. He was blind, pretty much he was in all this debt. He said more than what people would like to know. And pretty much was told, hey, everything's going to be impossible for you. And now he's done more than what most people or many different things have been able to accomplish in a lifetime. And he's only, in his 50s or 60s. And keeps doing more. But yeah, we bless you. Thank you for watching this morning. And this isn't a goodbye forever. I'm sure still be popping on every now and so often, but yeah, a little bittersweet, but yeah, we love you and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for hopping on this morning with us.